Back in good days, right?
Yes, sir. I just knew there were so many good dudes. That's what, that was the hardest part. I just knew the roster was loaded, so. But you earned it. They brought me into the office.
What they saying?
He said I made it.
No, you didn't, Jay.
He said I made it.
Okay, let me call you back. Let me call you back.
All right,
I love you. I love you.
At this level, there's so much out of your control. As a football player, all you can do is show up every day and, give it your best. And wherever the chips lie after that, they lie. And everything I've been through, coming out of college and the combine and sitting with my family, not hearing your name called, just a dream. That was a dream of mine, to hear my name called, have my family celebrate. You get to the last pick in the draft and no one calls your name, and you just start questioning, is this really what I'm supposed to do? Am I really supposed to be a football player? Am I as bad as all the articles say you are? It just feels good knowing that I'm doing the right thing. I can play football in the National Football League and I can play for the Ravens.
Yeah, Tom, I think in all of that, it's the phone call to Dad. I think that really gave me the chills, and just let me call you back. He was so you've known that young man for a while. We got to know him, the media did, and there was no more personable of a young man when it came to the media. And I'm talking maybe close to all time as Jay Higgins. There's a lot of Iowa fans that are going to be Ravens fans this year because he made that roster.
Yeah, and everybody knew his dad too, Roy, and Roy's outfits, and Hawk, and now it's Flock for the Ravens, and it's just so freaking cool. That phone call is the phone call that every kid wants to make to their parent, and every parent wants to hear from their kid that's played football, that played a sport, that, hey, I made it. I made it into the toughest company that you can be in if you're if you're a football player. That's the elite of the elite, and you made one of those rosters, and that's just incredible. And he beat the odds at Iowa. He beat the odds in the NFL. Nobody wanted him. Too slow, bad 40 time, just not going to be able to make it. And all he does is go out there and bust his butt, and there he is. And I'm bummed that Nick Jackson didn't make it, but he got hooked up with the Bucks on their practice squad, so hopefully he gets an opportunity because he deserves to play in the NFL too. And those guys are incredible players. Love them to death. They're just awesome people.
In the video, and you heard the coach kind of say, I think it was the GM, that I love Hawkeyes.
The GM.
Yeah, I think he said basically along the line, I love Hawkeyes. Talk about that in a bigger picture, because we've known Hawkeyes, and I don't know if Pat will admit it. I think he probably will. He probably said it, but he didn't expect to go in the second round. But it's that Iowa thing that probably made him from what he thought he was to what he ended up. And I think the NFL in general, and especially the good franchises, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Lions, that really, the top of the tier, elite NFL organizations, Tommy, if you get what I'm saying. They value, all right, they value a player that comes from a Kirk Ferentz coach system and all of that. And I think we saw it just in that video.
It was interesting that last night during Hawk Talk, Kirk even brought that up about the Ravens, and he goes, they draft they run things the right way there. Kind of, it's like he said the same thing about the Ravens that the Ravens said about Iowa. And essentially, and you look, Marshall Yonder was there forever. Christian Welch was there. Considine spent a long time there. Linderbaum's there now. You've got Jay Hig there. I mean, just blue collar, tough, hard nosed guys that play. Geno Stone, forgot him too. Yeah, he was another guy that made it to the Ravens. Just blue collar, hard nosed guys that have made it, and they made it because they went to the right place that picks the right kind of people. And you can tell that the Ravens organization values guys that come through the Iowa program.
No, you're 100% correct, and I'll add to that. Jack Campbell's going to be a Pro Bowler this year, maybe an All-Pro.
Oh,
Mark my word. That's
ooh.
my little prediction moving forward. He was really, really good last year, and he's just, I mean, year 3 is going to be fantastic for Jack Campbell and the Super Bowl winning Detroit Lions. Tommy, before we let you go, and I think like that's the cool part of the draft is seeing those kind of things happen. And going back to Logan, even the same thing. Like we talked about it. If there's this long snapper they need, his versatility is like, I'll do it. They could ask him to do whatever. Literally, like, hey, we need somebody to take the trash out after practice, and Logan Lee would be the first dude to say, I got that too. So, and that pays big dividends as well. I know you guys have a great special still going on with the Hawkeye Report. Talk about what you guys have going on right now, not just special wise, but content wise and everything else. Like if there's, and we say this all the time, but it's a great time of year. Everybody's excited about Iowa football. It's a great time of year to get locked in and get set up with what you guys got going on.
Yeah, and this week's a great week because it's just $1 to get in, and for the first 7 days, and you stick around, and we'll also throw in not only our content, and you get all the great stuff from our national people. You get all Blair's recruiting coverage, Kyle Huseman's great work, Dennis's photos, Tanner Lefevre on men's and women's wrestling. I'm covering men's basketball and football team on a daily basis, but you're going to get a complimentary 1-year subscription to The Athletic. And that means you can read all of Scott Docterman's great stuff and Stuart Mandel, Bruce Feldman, all the college football people, all their NFL writers that you want to read. They have so many talented people working at the Athletic. And that's part of your thing, along with getting to read Andy Staples and Ross Dellinger and Ari Wasserman and all the great people who are working at On3. Steve Wilfong's one of the best football recruiting guys in the country. Charles Power, one of the best evaluators of high school talent in the world. You've got Jamie Shaw and Joe Tipton breaking all kinds of news on basketball recruiting. So you got Talia Goodman covering women's basketball. So you've got all of these great people, national people who are well respected in this industry, working all together at On3. So hopefully, spend $1, test it out for 7 days, and get a free subscription to The Athletic along with it.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. And like you mentioned, tons of great content. I've already read a bunch of it already this week, but Kyle's putting stuff out, you're putting stuff out, all that kind of stuff. And of course, Dennis, the great Dennis, getting ready for Saturday, I'm assuming. And some great pictures and all those kind of things as well. So the Hawkeye Report is the place to get it. I will also add that coming up on Saturday, Tom will join me, our first press box perspective, the old Hawkeye Roundtable. Tom Kakert and Chelsea Brown from KCRG will be our roundtable experts on the Hawkeye Tailgate show. So you get a little Tom Kakert before the game, and then of course we'll check out all the coverage afterwards. And you and I are planning on doing a little post pod on your forums and my platforms, and who knows how it's all going to look, but we're gonna do that kind of fun stuff as well. So football season's finally here, Thomas. No more talking about nonsense.
And
next time I talk to you, we'll have a game to talk about.
And I'll also have Monday the great Chuck Long on for a podcast too. So get Chuck's perspective as well.
No, that's absolutely outstanding stuff. So Tom Kakert with that kind of stuff. If you missed it on our end, Pat was last week, Chad Lystico was last week. Go check those out. All still relevant now. And Gary Dolphin was on with me on Monday, and it don't get any better. Like that guy, Tom, he could literally recite the alphabet and I would listen. I mean, am I right? It's just Dolph. It's Dolph.
It's the best.
Yeah. So, all right, Tommy, I appreciate you. We'll see you in Iowa City on Saturday, and we'll have football to talk about next time you're on here. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks.
All right. That is Tom Kakert talking a little Iowa football as we get ready for the Hawkeyes in Albany. Coming up on Saturday from Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. And as we mentioned, make sure you check out the Hawkeye Tailgate show as well. We'll have some stuff with Tom and Chelsea Brown and an interview with Mark Gronowski and all that kind of stuff coming up on the show. Coming up a little bit later in the show, a nice little segue. The guy that used to do the pregame show for nearly 20 years, Jim Albracht, will be on with us coming up in hour number 2 to talk about his years on the Hawkeye pregame show, his years in the Quad Cities doing Albracht in the AM and TV stuff as well. Jim Albracht coming up later in the show as well. But next, coming up on the show, we'll do some more college football, and we're going to keep it a little closer to home. Augustana, excited for another season as well. Their head coach, Steve Bell, will join us coming up after the break. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thank you guys for your patience as well. A late start to the show. Internet was funky, got it going, rocking and rolling, and then none of this makes any sense. It's inside baseball, but my entire system crashed during Tommy's interview. So got that back up and going, and luckily I have more, or this guy coming up has more patience with me than maybe he does with his football program some days. Head coach of Augustana, Steve Bell, joins me right now. First and foremost, thank you for your patience. I hope I'm playing it off like I'm cool, calm, and collective right now, because I've been cursing like a sailor for the last 15 minutes. Actually, Coach, we can't hear you right now. Give me 1 second. Go ahead.
You good?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead. See, as we said, live TV is a beautiful thing. Thank you for your patience. First and foremost, how's everything? The off season. I know football's right around the corner. We're going to talk about that, but how was everything off season wise at Augustana?
Oh, it was good. It was good. You made me really, really hungry with your advertisement. So, little Godfather's, little Hungry Hobo. I'm ready to go.
Love it. Love it.
No, it was good. It was good. I think we're having a great training camp. Kids are working really hard, and we feel really good. You know, we had one scrimmage under our belt, which was nice against St. Ambrose, and get to go at it again this Saturday. So we're excited.
It's been some really good years lately. and we've talked every preseason with you at Augustana about building where you want it to be, and each year you can tell it's more and more like running smoothly, if that makes sense. Where are you at with this program? Obviously the success is starting to come, and I know these guys are excited to continue and build on that this year.
Right. I mean, our conference doesn't make it any easier on anybody. This is definitely the best, if not one of the best, 2 or 3 conferences in the country. So, but we feel good where we're at right now. We had some additions into our transfer situation, and I think those kids are going to make a huge impact on our program. And then the kids that we've had in tow have been developing, and that's the key, is that you have development year to year. And so we feel really good about where we're kind of sitting, but it's a process. The year is, you wish you knew what you're going to look like in the beginning. But it really is, how do you build until the last game? What do you end up looking like when it all said and done?
Steve Bell joining me right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. Coach, you look at it, and we talked about the transfer situation. I had Coach Phillip from St. Ambrose on yesterday, and I asked him, what is it like? And what is it like on your end? Because everybody sees these big transfers and the D1 kind of stuff, but it trickles down. It's part of what college football is. How have you guys adapted or taken advantage, or what's that situation like for you guys at Augustana?
For us, it's really, it doesn't affect us like it does the big boys. Your FBS, FCS level, even your D2s, it doesn't affect us in that category. We don't get as many opportunities to get transfers like those schools would. And we don't have the money at our level to be able to attract that kid to a Division III school where they have to pay, a large portion of money to go to college. But when you do get those situations where kids are looking to go somewhere, and you want to take advantage of them as fast as you can and not let that kid get somewhere else. So we look at it more positionally. What are our needs? Where does this kid fit into the equation? Does he have the character that we're looking for? I think that's what you're going to run into with the transfer portal is, you're just recruiting the athlete, and you got to recruit the character, because you're bringing a different person into your locker room that you did not recruit in the beginning. So you got to make sure that person fits what your team is looking for and what kind of kids you're looking for. So we're very fortunate this year. We got a quarterback, which is a huge need for us going into this season, and then a couple other kids that we feel are going to fit in really well here, and they're great people, and that's what we care about the most.
You mentioned great people. I think maybe a perfect example is a former player like Jordan Vesey, who started elsewhere. Rock Island kid, came back and represented your program so well while there, continues to do so with the Wheelers. Well, we're going to talk about him in a little bit, because I want to get your thoughts on him. Sure. But you mentioned quarterback as well, and there's some years I go over there with my camera and stuff. I'm like, Coach, what's it look like? And you haven't made a decision. I try to ask, and so I guess we'll start there. What does the quarterback situation look like? You mentioned it as a position of need during the offseason.
Yep. I'm fooling you every time I say that, just so you know that. We already know at that point who our guy is going to be, but there's no question who our starter is this year. It's Jimmy McCoo, who's a transfer from Illinois State, and so we're excited about him. He was a high-level kid coming out of high school, and took a PWO at Illinois State, worked himself through the roster at Illinois State. Unfortunately, got caught up in some of the transfer portal, graduate transfer kind of things with quarterbacks at Illinois State. And then his best friend, or one of his best friends, is our best receiver in Braden Smith. And Jimmy's from Hersey High School. So we knew him coming out of high school. He just didn't talk to us much. He had better opportunities at that point. But then he fell in our lap, and we're excited about what he's going to bring to the table for us. And exceptionally intelligent kid, great arm talent, terrific leader. So those are the attributes we need and we want at that position. And then we'll see where it falls now. We feel like we need to surround him, and we've got some really good skills surrounding talent around him. So we just got to try to protect him and keep him clean as much as we possibly can.
You mentioned that best friend at wide receiver. That probably helps a little bit, but kind of talk about that, because we look at it at the Division I level with Matt Randazzo going to Iowa, and these guys might have the ability and the stats and all the resume, but you have that chemistry with your weapons around you. Kind of talk about developing that, because that's something that will probably have to come, probably has come, and you probably watch it in practice, but will probably continue to develop throughout the year.
Well, we were fortunate. Jimmy was able to come in the spring. So he transferred in. He got all of our spring practices, got in tune with the playbook. And actually, when we went to Greece and Italy on our trip as a team, he was able to play in that game and start, in that game, and did really well, and didn't get as much time, just because we try to even it out as much as we can. But we got to see him with the live bullets flying. And, and he's just kept progressing. So you just, it's going to be a building process. You don't come out of the womb game one walking. You have to be able to kind of build and build and build as that season goes through.
Kind of talk about some of the other strengths you see with Augustana this year, maybe on the offensive side first. What are the things you're excited about besides maybe the quarterback position and those kind of things?
Yeah, I think, everybody always gets stuck on who you graduated. And you're going to always graduate great players. Even when I was at different schools, you're going to graduate great players, but you better have developed the next kid in line, or you better have found them, as a transfer. So we feel like we have that next kid at quite a few spots on offense. We graduate Mikey DeGioia, who was the leading rusher, first team all-conference running back in the CCIW last year. Mikey, it was a terrific player. But he replaced Ty Ravelli. And so now we have to replace Mikey DeGioia, and we have Ben Ludlam and Josh Lim at that spot, and they've developed tremendously since last year. And so now it's their time to shine, as that premier back. And then at receiver, we feel really good about we've got a lot of experience under our belt, and we're fighting right now in camp to figure out who our second slot receiver will be. But we're solid as all get out at the outside receiver position with kids that have played here. And then we brought in a transfer that came from Illinois State also. So kid that we had recruited out of high school again. And he kind of fell into our lap this year and has been doing terrific.
Well, let's talk about the defensive side of things and places people needed to be replaced on the defensive side as well. Reload maybe. Defense so important in college football, but especially in the CCIW in your conference. How do you like things on that side? Where are things looking on the defensive side of the football?
Yeah, I think and I'll talk about both sides here. If we stay healthy, I feel great. When you dip in the Division III level, when you have to dip too far in the Division III level, it gets tough because depth at certain spots can come back and bite you. But if we're solid defensive line-wise, I with who we have and they stay healthy, I feel really good about where we're at. Does that make sense? So, and then we bring in a transfer to replace our weak side linebacker. And then Dylan Burton, who's coming off an ACL, so that we'll see how that goes. You know what I mean? He's been great up until now. He's been fine, but that again is a process that to be able to play at game speed. But he's been doing great. And then defensive back wise, right now we had to replace a few kids from last year, but we feel great with who we have. And it's just a matter of kind of meshing and being one unit as opposed to individuals in that spots. But we feel really good about where we're at. And we just got to shore up a few things before. But that's why we scrimmage. That's why we practice. And, we've got about a week here now, a little more than a week before we get going against Simpson College. But, talent-wise, we just don't want to fall too far below what we have on the field right now at certain spots. And I think that's critical.
Absolutely. Steve Bell joining me right now and off the air with Matt Randazzo. You mentioned the CCIW, Coach. It's one of the best conferences in the entire country at the D3 level. Where are your expectations when it comes to a battle each and every afternoon? And it's one of those things that iron sharpens iron. I mean, it's a great matchup in the CCIW each and every weekend, and I don't think you'd probably want it any other way, would you?
No. I don't think that any player looks at a schedule and says, well, we're probably going to win this one 56-0. And you forget about those games really fast. I think it's always the games that you have to stretch yourself. You and your teammates working together, stretches, where you find out really what you're about. Those are the games that you always kind of remember. So the CCIW does challenge you in that regard, that there's times, Matt, that you can play really well in a game and still lose, right? Because the talent, you can't control what the other team's doing per se, but if you don't execute at a high level, any team in our league can beat you.
Absolutely. Coach, I want to talk to you about a few other things besides, and actually let's talk about the opener real fast. You guys have a little bit extra time, September 7th. Kind of talk about that schedule. I think Simpson is the first game of the season, but kind of talk about that schedule. And obviously you guys are probably ready to get after it with another team and hit somebody else. I know maybe some joint scrimmages or practices with St. Ambrose here and there, but other than that, I'm sure you guys are chomping at the bit to see what you have.
Yeah, we get another one too. We get to go and kind of do a simulated game against Loras College, which is nice. Again, another look at who can and who can't at this point. So that's a great evaluational tool. Correctional, be able to get off that field, watch the film, and say, okay, hey, we better dial this up now. We better kind of tighten up in these areas because we have to play Simpson on I think it's September 6th. So yeah, it's exciting though. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're Simpson, then we have an off week in week 2 to kind of group, and then we start our conference schedule in what would be week 3 against Wheaton. So no rest, that's for sure. We get one of the best teams in the country coming in week 3.
Absolutely. Coach, I want to talk to you about a few maybe non-Augustana things, but kind of Augustana things. We've had Alex Taney on the show of late, and I know that's a guy that you enjoyed a lot of fun with down in Monmouth. Are you taking full credit for his coaching career now? And when has teacher surpassed, or has student surpassed teacher at all? Or do you guys get a chance to kind of bug each other when it comes to X's and O's and all those kind of things?
No, I don't take credit for that. That's he's kind of been in a situation where he's learned from numerous. You kind of look at his career, and he bounced around a little bit, but at the end of the day, where he's sitting now, bouncing around as a player, has been just enormously effective for him in terms of knowledge base and being able to kind of grab a little bit of this, a little bit of that from every place he's been at. So. No, I don't take credit for that one at all. But no, I've forgotten more football than Alex knows. So no, it's great. We get to talk about it. You know what I mean? And he sees things from a different lens because he's at the professional level, and I see it from a college level lens. And our kids don't spend every minute of every day playing football. So it's a little bit different. The complexities at times can be a little bit different than they are at the NFL level, but it's exciting to see what he's doing. That's for sure. It's
fun. I'm sure you're extremely proud. We mentioned Jordan Vesey and great season with the Wheelers, and how fun was it for you? And he represented Augustana so well, and he talked about Augustana so well. He talked about Rock Island, but Augustana as well. How much fun was it for you guys at Augustana to watch him have success in our hometown, representing our home organization?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. He brought me over a nice little jersey, from the Steamwheelers, and I've got it in my office, hanging in my office, but it's really cool to see what he's doing. Jordan had a great career here, but then to see him develop and continue to develop as a player, that's exciting. And just a smile on his face when I talk to him. He's been at practice a few times here in training camp, so that's always cool because it's nice to introduce all the receivers to a guy that has done what they're doing and now has kind of taken it to a different level and is excited and doing really well at that position, with the Steamwheelers. So no, the smile on his face and the look on his face when I talk to him, when he's talking about it, that's validation right there, that he's just having a good time. And it's a short window, and you got to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, Coach, you had a young man, a son of yours, playing college football last year as well, and I got to have him on the show. So like you're the second Bell on the team, but on the show. I went with the better Bell first, I think. But not having him play college football, what was it? Obviously, watching him set records and do what he did at the college level. How much fun was that for you, as not just a coach and a football guy, but more importantly, obviously, as a dad?
Oh, I mean, just, the big thing is he enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a short window, and, success comes when you work hard at it and you get an opportunity, and then you have to produce. And I felt like he produced really well, in a different position than he played in high school. And so he made a great transition. He's actually coaching for us. I didn't know if you knew that, Matt. So he's coaching receivers, but he also, more importantly, is doing our strength program, because that's what he went to school for, was to be involved in sports performance. And so I think his energy level and just different way of kind of going about things has brought a nice energy to our program, along with a couple of our other coaches that are new and young. That enthusiasm is contagious, and I think our players have kind of grasped onto that. But they also have some great ideas. Coach McKelvey is our safeties coach, and then Coach, I don't know if you remember Trayvon Aldridge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Played for me here at Augustana as a Rock Island product, but he's coaching corners for us. So those guys, we've had more interceptions in training camp than we've ever had since I've been here. Oh. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I was going to say.
It's not good. But the guys are making plays, and that's really exciting, because it's bringing a different enthusiasm, from guys that are 24, 25, through under 30, I guess would be the best way to put it. So that's exciting for us old codgers.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it, Coach. When he was on, he mentioned eventually probably getting into coaching. What is that like right now? I knew he probably eventually would. I didn't know it was with you guys right now. What is it like watching him as a coach now, and what are those conversations like? Is he trying to get is he teaching dad new tricks? How's the balance between you guys' relationship as coaches on the same program?
We don't talk football at home. A little bit, of course that's going to come up, but he's living on his own. So when I see him, it's really, off the field, it's really not about football. We'll bring it up, and of course we're going to talk about it a little bit, but schematically and all that. But he's done a great job. And like I said, all our young coaches have done a great job. You kind of have to let them, bring their own flavor, I guess. If not, then you just are kind of robotic, and I don't want that. So they're going to bring their own flavor and how they teach it. And as long as it stays within the confines of who we are, I'm okay with that, right? As long as it stays true to what we're doing, they're going to bring in ideas that work for them. And maybe that hits home with a few of our kids on our team that maybe don't learn it the way that I taught it. You know what I mean? Maybe this is a little bit faster for them to be able to kind of grasp the ideas. But, those guys are high-level athletes, and you let them be who they are, and they've been around some really good coaches in their career. So maybe they've grabbed a few things from those coaches that they can use on our players. And so I try. I don't want to say I stay out of the way, but I let them coach, and that's why they're here. And I'm not a micromanager until I need to be a micromanager. So they're doing a great job, and their energy is really, really what's setting it apart. Just the energy level.
I love hearing it. I'm excited for Augustana football. The beauty of my new gig is I can maybe get to some more games as a fan as well. So I expect to get down. And as you see, I said this to Coach Phillip yesterday. I got my collection of helmets out here. I'm just saying, Coach, Augustana mini helmet wouldn't look awful.
Hold on, Matt.
Oh, there
I got
you go.
one for you.
There you
All
go.
right.
All right.
There you go. I'm bringing it.
I gotta go bug Don Umland later on today or tomorrow. I'll catch up with you. But yeah, I would love to put it up here on the set. I always see how I like to get free stuff. See how I like to get free stuff. I know what I'm doing. So, Coach, best of luck. Tell Carter I said hello. Excited about that new situation with you guys, and maybe I have to have him on the show here and kind of find out how that's going. So, yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But I appreciate it. Best of luck this year. Get a whole bunch of wins, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right. That is head coach Steve Bell over at Augustana, a very patient man with me today. As I first tell him like, hey, 10:30, we'd love to have you on. And here we are at like 11:05 when I finally got to him. So I thank him for his patience. And yeah, it should be some really fun times, intriguing times, especially at both schools. When you look at St. Ambrose, we talked about their QB1 and Alec Ponder, a young player that we know here from the area, a former Moline product, and then obviously excitement with a new starting quarterback over at Augustana when it comes to the Illinois State transfer. So we wish both schools, especially Steve Bell and Augustana, the best of luck as they get ready for the season. Well, we're treading our way through a Thursday here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coming up next, really fun conversation with a guy I kind of followed in the footsteps of and not knowing, but he's a former sports director here in the area, radio host that did a fantastic job with that, and a guy who hosted the Hawkeye Tailgate show for almost 20 years, a show I get to host starting this Saturday. So Jim Albracht will join us right here on Off the Air right after this.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. College football starts this weekend. The Iowa Hawkeyes kicking off at 5 o'clock on Saturday. And one thing I'm really excited about is I get to be the pregame host. I'm blessed to get to be the pregame host for the Hawkeye Radio Network this year, hosting the Hawkeye Tailgate show. And I go look at it, and I always feel like I'm following in Dan Burch's footsteps a lot of the time, you know, when it comes to the things that I've done. And we always joke about that. But really, if you think about it, the guy who I'm really like following in the footsteps of is this handsome fellow right here. Jim Albracht joins me right now from Kansas City, down in Kansas City. How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Hey, life is really good. 2 of my daughters live down here, so we decided to move down here about 3 years ago and got a couple little guys running around, and I still have 3 granddaughters back in the Quad Cities, and they come down and I go up, and so it's a retirement fantasy. That's what it is. I mean, I have people tell me, "Gosh, I'm going to have to stop working in a couple of years. What do you think I should do?" And I try to set them down and tell them this is an opportunity. It's not like you don't go sit on the couch. Do what you've never been able to do before. And, like I always say, you never see anybody in a walker on the beach. All right. So you better go now.
Exactly. And you've been to the beach lately, so that's a beautiful thing. I joked as we started this because you were a sports director at WQED for a long time. Of course, awesome career in radio, WOC, and all of those kind of things, Albracht in the AM. I was that kid that was like going to school telling my dad to change it to music when my dad was listening to Albracht in the AM. So, as I grew up, I enjoyed it obviously as well. And then you were the pregame host for the Iowa Hawkeyes for almost 20 years. So that means I get to hit the beaches here soon, right? If I keep going?
Well, in your position with all the things you have going on, take a couple weeks off, find the beach. But at any rate, you got all those kids to take care of, and you're a great dad, and that's the most important thing you can possibly be. So I started that show. They called me from Learfield, and we had no idea what we wanted to do. They had no idea. So I remember the very first show. We were 5 minutes away from air. It's like 9 a.m. We don't even have mics set up yet. We're standing there. There's nothing to, it went to a good set around the stadium. It was beautiful. But at that point, it was just seat of pants stuff. And what made the show was the guest. I mean, if you get to talk to a lot of former Hawkeyes, you're basically getting the history from the locker room. And that's really important because these guys, they lived it, and some of these guys went on to be pretty famous NFL players or whatever. I forget his name. He was on the Colts. He was a Hawkeye, and he was on the Colts when they beat the Bears. I think it was 2001. And he was a defensive back, and he picked the last play of the game. He picked off the
Was
pass.
it Bob Sanders?
No. I'd have to look. I'd have to look.
This
is, and also when you're retired, you get to say, "Oh, I forgot." It's not a problem. Yeah. But anyway, I asked him. His wife was standing right there in front of the set, and I said, "Hey, do you ever let her wear your Super Bowl ring?" And he goes, "She ain't made a tackle yet."
I love it.
So the answer was no.
Yes. No, that's outstanding.
So it was a really good time. And of course, it started off with Eddie Podolak down there or Dolph or, you get to work with a bunch of great guys, and Corey, the engineer, all these guys, they just made it really, really easy. And I had a blast. It was one of the things I felt like I was a part-time citizen of Iowa City.
Yeah. Well, and you think about it, Jim, and I listen to it all the time. I was bringing up all this equipment and getting ready for this, 12-hour work day and all this kind of stuff and running and sweating and all that stuff. And I got to listen to you as I'm going up, and you set the tone for what the week or what the coverage is. That's the cool thing that I really haven't wrapped my mind around. When the radio coverage starts, it was your voice that we heard. And now, unfortunately for the people, it's my voice that they hear. But did you ever look at it that way? That they're kicking off Iowa football and they're starting with the Hawkeye Tailgate show?
Well, first of all, whenever I get a gig, no matter what it is, I feel fortunate. Like Albracht in the AM was kind of like my mountaintop that I wanted because I love conversation. I love hearing what people say. And this was in the day of you could have a compromise and you could meet in the middle and you didn't have to, well, I'm taking this side and you're taking that, so there was no screaming or yelling. And of course, Dan Kennedy was there and he's a great guy. So when I got that gig, I just thought, well, let's see where it goes. And it went it took off. Like I say, the guys in the network, come on, Dolph. Come on, Dolph. It's like when I see Dolph, I go, Dolph, you're a legend. You know that, right? He goes, get out of here. So, it's and Eddie's just his own story. And now you got Pat, and Pat's just this great guy. So it was when I reflect back on all the things that I did, including the show and all of that, I feel lucky first. I don't feel like, oh, I'm accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way, Matt. I worked in Green Bay at a station called WNFL for 4 years. They never used the call letters very much. They were like, we're the WNFL. I go, no, we're the NFL. There's no other radio station in the entire country you can say you're listening to the NFL. So that's what we went and did. And that led to me being an actual participant in a Super Bowl parade.
That's
I'm
amazing.
on the bus with, I'm on the bus with the wives. I wasn't, up there enough to be with the players, but it was like, that was Norman Rockwell right there in Green Bay. The streets were lined. It took us 4 hours to get to the stadium. It was, you can't duplicate that. So that's the kind of stuff that I say, count your blessings, man.
Yeah.
Count your blessings.
No, I tell people all the time, it's not even, I'm going to be nervous. I haven't been nervous doing this kind of stuff in a long, long time. And like, I'm going to feel like I'm 22 years old again, doing my first sportscast in front of family and friends. And it'll be kind of cool. What kind of thing, is there stories you remember or experiences that happened? You mentioned the first time you did it, the mics weren't set up and you're like 5 minutes from go time. What, is there certain things that stand out? Like, oh, this time or that time this happened, or this interview was great. Is there anything that kind of stands out?
Well, there's one thing, and it doesn't have to do with necessarily an interview, but I worked my way up on the IHSA television network, thanks to a lot of people at Channel 8 who put in good words for me. And when you start in that, I mean, back then, that was it. I mean, I remember my father, who was the greatest guy I ever knew, he says to me, we're watching the championship game, and he goes, wouldn't it be great, Jim, if you played in that? I go, Dad, it would be great if I called it.
Yeah.
And like 30 or 20 years later, I did. But so I finally climbed up to being the, play-by-play guy for the games, the, championship games especially. So I think it was a Chicago team or something. And so I had this producer comes up from the truck, and I go, hey, man, how many people do you think are going to be watching that? He goes, well, at least 1 million. And I'm like, what? where's the pail? And once you get past that, I always tell people, you're talking to one person. Yeah. You're not talking. That's all you're doing. You're just trying to describe. When I do basketball, which is one of my favorite things, I get lost in the moment. There's nothing else going on but that game, that ball. That's it. That's it. Except if Fran starts cussing from the sideline, like
then you kind of look over there. It's funny, Jim, you mentioned that because we had a dinner last week. And I see Dolph for the first time since I was added, and he's like, hey, you're going to do great. He goes, just think of it, Des. I'm going to do I'm not even going to do an impression because I'm going to do a bad Dolph. I wouldn't do it justice, but he's like, your voice is going to be heard by 500,000 Hawkeye fans on Saturday. I'm like, why'd you have to, I mean, that's cool, but why'd you have to say it like that? Like, so, and that's what you look at, but and I kind of want to add on to that a little bit, because the WQAD stuff, I mean, I look back to me growing up, and it was hopping around from TC to Jim Albracht to Dan Burridge to Dan Pearson. And I was that kid that I didn't care. This one came on 2 minutes before that one came on, and then this one usually comes on after that. So I would go, and back then, I didn't have these remotes. It was running up to the TV and doing it. I know Hart was on radio, but the TV side of things, I know you enjoyed the heck out of as well.
Well, there were some things that happened in TV. I first of all, I love, the 3 minute or 3.5 minutes that you got. I found that to be kind of restrictive, but I understand the rules. I mean, the news was the news back then.
Me too.
And the weather
I
was
find
the
it
weather,
restrictive too. That's why I'm doing this. Very restrictive.
Well, I never went up to the weather guy like Neil Castor and said, hey, can I get a minute of yours? No, I never, but when you're in TV, like those were the days they sent me to Cubs spring training. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't do that now, not from that station. Because it's just the landscape has changed. But I'm standing there. They just signed Andre Dawson, the Cubs. And here I am. I'm standing there talking to him. And he's just like a guy. And that's the one thing that I learned early on. These are just people. And when I do an interview, I don't want to know about their stats. I want to know about them. And if you ask them personal questions enough, not, abrasive questions, but, you'll come out with, yeah, well, my little brother did this, and and suddenly you're dealing with a human and not an athlete. And, I remember being at, I think it was called the Quad City Open then. And as you well know, you've been out there many, many times. And I'm walking along the tee, the practice tees, and there's Jordan. There's Michael Jordan. He's after his first season. So I walk up to him when he's changing balls and stuff. I go, hey, Michael, you got some time? He goes, I am. Let me hit a couple more buckets and I'll be there. For 45 minutes, he sat there and talked to that. Wow. That wouldn't have happened 3 years later because he was Air by then. He was Air Jordan, So, and then I remember Walter Payton had come into town, and I was asking the people, I think it was a call ball, somewhere he was giving a speech. And I said, hey, can I come interview Walter? And they go, well, yeah, no problem, man. So I'm sitting there with Walter Payton. And, of course, they never gave him the ball to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, right? That was a big discussion.
Yeah.
And so I said, so are you still is that a thing, or is that just what people are talking about? And this is what he said. Let me ask you a question. I'm like, as an interviewer, that's the last thing you want to hear. It's but he was a very classy guy. And, then you're sitting at a fundraiser with Mike Ditka, and Ditka hands you a cigar that he just had made somewhere like in Puerto Rico or something. He goes, take this. And, it's like you grew up watching these people. Mm. And then you get to share some moments with them. It doesn't mean that they're going to go, oh, that guy's cool or whatever. But it's kind of get an inside glance.
Yeah.
And
you find out, Jim, you find out they're just like us. That's the cool thing. For the most part, there's probably a few frustrating people here and there, but for the most part, you're just a cool dude. You're a down to earth guy, which I think is cool as well.
Yeah. I mean, talking to Ryan Sandberg, you're like, gosh, I could be talking to one of my high school teammates, so we tend to, sports has gotten to such a point, as you know, that when I was a kid, I remember Brooks Robinson. I was trying to get an autograph from Brooks Robinson when I worked at QAD for a fundraiser. And Cliff Talley, who was, the guy who set everybody up with what their assignments were. And he's walking by my desk, and I'm not there, and there's no answering machines then. And he picks it up. He goes, hello. He goes, yeah, this is Brooks Robinson. I'm looking for Jim Albracht. And Cliff goes, the Brooks Robinson? And I go, and he goes, guys like that, I don't know if that exists anymore. I don't know if you can get that close all the time anymore. But that's why the glory days for me were when you could do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jim Albracht joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to take you back to the Quad Cities just for a little bit because I grew up watching it and I got to be part of it, and I met the legends, and they are. And you mentioned Neil Castor, and that's a legend, and Paula Sains. And I'm not just I'm just talking so when you think about Quad City newscasters or media people, who are the first ones that, I don't like doing the cliche who's on the Mount Rushmore of Quad City? I don't love those questions, but when you think about it, who are the first people that kind of pop out to you of the legends of the Quad Cities?
Yeah, the very first one obviously was Jim King. They called him the Kinger because he was the king. And the word was, if Kinger liked you, you were in. All right. So I remember doing my first sportscast at Channel, and I'm like, oh God, I hope Kinger likes this. And we walk off the set, it's done, and Kinger goes, let's go, we're getting a beer. And I'm like, oh, I'm in.
Must have been good.
Yeah. So Neil Castor was really, he was just a great guy. Mm-hmm. He was just a great guy, and that's what people. Air, but they're actually kind of not nice guys, or whatever. So Paula was a legend. There was Ryan, the older guy, Ryan. He did Channel 6 forever. Anyway, Mr. Ryan, let's call him.
Yeah, it works for me.
And I ran into him he was like 85 at this point, and you see somebody that you grew up watching and then you see them at 85, you're like, hey, you better get your life going, buddy. Things are going fast here. So yeah, I just nice people. I mean, the reporters, I mean, there were some great guys. And I mean, some of these guys, they went on to do some really good things. Like, they got college teaching jobs and, like Greg Vandergrift, guys like that. So it's a pleasure to have known them. And I had a couple of people who worked for Channel 8 years and years ago down here in Kansas City a couple of days ago. And we just couldn't stop reminiscing because if it was as good as we remembered, we had it lucky.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
And Jim, and I want to kind of piggyback on that because the things that I loved about it weren't the on-air stuff as much, but the newsroom, the sports office, the people behind, and I know you I have my Scott Weiss's and Andy McKay's and Jose Casillas's and guys that like are going to be my friends for life, and you have that too. We talked on the phone earlier today, and you mentioned that's what's cool is not just the people we talk about when it comes to the on air stuff, but it's those guys behind the scenes that are pretty cool as well.
Well, Andy McKay is, as far as, Andy McKay is like the quietest.
He's okay. He's
I don't
average at
think
best.
he's average at best.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever heard him brag one time. And he always had that smile like, yeah, okay, we'll get it done. If you were wrong, he wouldn't tell you were wrong. He'd just go, well, let's try it this way. And, salt of the earth guys like that.
Yeah.
That's
he
what
told
I'm
me,
saying. And,
he told me when I got it wrong.
Fun.
He told me when I got it wrong. He must have been nicer to you. He would tell me when I got it wrong.
Well, and also, I mean, we had, serious friendships. You see these shows from the 60s and the 70s and everybody's going out and having drinks or whatever. We did that. We left at 10:30, we were out and having fun with our comrades and, cutting it up and, until you got married and then you went, okay, stop that.
Yeah, no, there was some fun times. Absolutely. Jim Albracht joining me right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Before I let you go, Jim, I got to do this thing on Saturday. It's like 48 hours away or whatever. What's the advice would you give? I want to say young Randazzo, but I'm not young anymore. So younger, I guess. You look better than I do. I look awful. You got the long hair. I'm balding like Burrich and all that kind of stuff. But what advice would you give me as I get ready to do this Hawkeye radio gig for the first time on Saturday?
Well, it's not very difficult. I'm no expert, but be you. I mean, you've been you forever. You don't change because of the situation. So be you. I'm pretty sure you're going to be pumped up for the first game. So I don't think the enthusiasm factor is going to be a problem. There's going to be people. I don't know where you do it from now.
Kraus Family Plaza.
Stage?
Yeah, there's a stage out by Niall Kinnick trophy or
perfect.
statue.
Yeah, and there'll be people walking around, and I always try to make eye contact with them. If I'm in a break or something like, hey, go Hawks or whatever. I mean, it's kind of a celebration of Hawkeye football anyway. So you turn it into that, and I don't know what the time limits are anymore as far as commercials and everything, but when you get a guest, just get to it. Not like, so how you been?
Yeah.
So you go.
I've been told that Grandpa Gary does not like it if we go heavy. So I got to make sure that I land the plane on time. I'm pretty good with that. After doing radio and TV forever, it's just about getting out on time. So I think I can do that eventually, but you don't want to go heavy. I do not want to make Dolph mad. The first weekend. Don't do that. I don't know if he gets mad. I don't. I'm sure he does. But I don't know if he does.
I don't know if he's ever been mad at me. I didn't recognize it. Let's put it that way.
It's a beautiful thing. Hey, we'll keep laying the blueprint for what I'm going to do next. I know you were just in Mexico a little bit ago, so I told my wife, I said, hey, soon we get to go to Mexico because I'm doing things a little bit after Jim Albracht. She's like, I thought you followed in Dan's footsteps. I'm like, well, kind of, but like Jim's too. So I appreciate you doing this. You look great. I know you're loving life in Kansas City. Be well, be healthy, all that kind of stuff, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Congratulations on the gig. Keep it going. This is amazing what you're doing.
I love it. Jim Albracht joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Be well, my friend. All right, that is Jim Albracht, former WQAD sports director, awesome radio host here in the Quad Cities, and then, of course, hosted the pregame show, the Hawkeye Tailgate show, for almost 20 years. And now I got to figure out how to follow or replace that. I mean, he's just an awesome legend. So that was a lot of fun. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities, Thursday, August 28th. Thank you guys for your patience. Some days are better than others, but we survived. I think we really did. We started the show late. That was an internet issue. We got that all figured out. And then my system crashed in the middle of the show. So luckily we survived. Everybody continued to watch, which I appreciate. X has been fantastic, which it usually is. So if you're watching this on YouTube, there's going to be two parts. So make sure you check out both parts as well. But we didn't miss a thing. I want to thank Tom Kakert for joining me, getting us set for Iowa football coming up this Saturday, 5:10 kick at Kinnick Stadium. If you're curious about the Illini, we had Jim Madsen on yesterday. Go check out Jim Madsen. Broke down Illinois season and their game coming up with Western Illinois on Friday night. So just a little more than 24 hours away. And then Iowa State-wise, we talked with Jake Brennan on Monday. So go check that out as well because it's a busy weekend of college football. St. Ambrose kicks off this weekend. We had Vince Phillip on from St. Ambrose yesterday, so go check that out. Today, we had Augustana head coach Steve Bell. Great to catch up with Steve Bell. I knew Carter Bell was going to get into coaching. I didn't know it was already with Dad at Augustana, which is an awesome situation. So great conversation and chat with Augustana. Exciting times with the Vikings coming up this season as well. And then last but not least, we chatted with Jim Albracht about everything Quad Cities and memories and all that kind of stuff, but then also about the Hawkeye Tailgate show, something he hosted for nearly 20 years. So something I get to start hosting coming up on Saturday. So if you're wondering, that is a 3:00 start for the Hawkeye Tailgate show all over the Hawkeye Radio Network. Here in the Quad Cities, it's Vintage Radio, 107.7 FM, WQUD, not WQAD, but WQUD. Ironic, I know. So excited to get up and running with that as well. Also, just a note, tomorrow we're taking the show on the road. So heck, if the technology wasn't hard enough here in my own house, I'm going to take it on the road. But knock on wood, everything has been good on the road. When we've taken the show on the road, we're going to head over to Spartan Stadium, Pleasant Valley High School, talk a bunch of high school football, and get you set for a big weekend as well. So excited about that as well. Excuse me, got my little cough button going. And then also, reminders for the weekend as well. We talked about the Hawkeye Tailgate show, but also we'll be walking in the Labor Day Parade on Monday. So no show on Monday. We'll have an updated show. Excuse me, over the weekend. Might as well choke. It's been one of those days. So we'll do a post-pod or a post-show at some point, kind of wrapping some things up. But next big show after tomorrow's will be on Tuesday of next week as well. So say hi if you're at the Rock Island Labor Day Parade. We'll be walking in that. So make sure you say hi as well. One bit of news as the show was rocking and rolling. Iowa has announced their honorary captain. It's none other than Brandon Scherf, former offensive lineman, recently just retired from the NFL. Had a fantastic career in the NFL. Won the Outland Award, or the Outland Trophy back in 2014, I think. So one of the best to ever put on the pads at the University of Iowa. He is the honorary captain. He'll be joining the Hawkeye Tailgate show. We'll chat with him coming up on Saturday as well. So a lot to get to. What a fantastic, fun time of year. Want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to do this show each and every weekday at 10 a.m. Make sure you tell a friend or 2 or 10 about what we're doing each and every day off the air with Matt Randazzo. I appreciate you guys' patience today. I appreciate you guys joining us, and we will see you guys from Spartan Stadium coming up tomorrow.